So my given name is Bridget Perrier, but my name is Wasea Kwe. Exploitation, you think that you're gonna protect your family from it. And I never thought, I could save other people's kids, right? And my youngest daughter had mental health. And so funny that, the one that's the most like me really struggled. And she knew my story, and she just was so defiant. And she really struggled, and I couldn't find her resources. I didn't, it was May of 2023, she called me, and she called her stepdad, and he called me, and I was with one of my clients, one of my survivor sisters, and he was yelling at me, and the survivor was crying. She was like, he's never talked to you like that. So he was swearing, and she had told us, Mom, I'm being pimped out, and blah, blah, blah. And my heart sank. And she's like, he's controlling me with drugs. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, just come home. And we tried, and my ex was like, I'm gonna go back into the criminal world and I'm gonna deal with it. And I'm like, don't, you're gonna ruin me. And sometimes I wish he did. But I remember the last day I saw her, and I have MS, which is an aftermath of what my exploitation left me, my long-lasting legacy. And I was having MS pain day, and she was over, and I was crabby. It was hot. It was she had gotten her ODSP check. She had Asperger's, high functioning, and we had talked her into treatment. And my daughter was the crisis coordinator at Onwa, my other daughter, and we had gotten them to pay for her to go to rehab, $30,000 private. And we were all happy. We sold it with the Red Seal chef. I'm like, slay, they have a Red Seal chef. She was a fatty. She was like, okay, I'm gonna go. And I said, I'll watch your dog, I'll watch your cat. Actually, Dad, my ex was gonna go stay at her house and blah, blah, blah. We were gonna fix it all up for her if she went. And she was all excited, and then that day I remember, she came inside and she said, I went to Native Child and they said, I don't need to go to their treatment. And we were like, what? And the stupid mental health worker said, you could do day treatment here. But what we don't understand is when there's exploitation, we have to extract them from the situation. And that, even though it was 4 weeks, that would have done a lot of work for her. That would have been 35 days away from drugs and alcohol, and she would have been seeing clearer. She had had an abortion by that pimp, and he has, I think, 49 kids. So she was over, and I was so disappointed, but she was buying a phone. She had bought a new iPhone, and I was crabby. I was having one of my days, and I got mad at my granddaughter, and I timed her out, and she said, oh, Mom, you're so crabby. And she grabbed her little raspberry, and she ate all, I have dietary issues, and she ate them all. And she said, I'm really sorry, I'll buy you another box of taquitos. And I was kind of pissed off at that. And I remember her skipping out. She said, he wants me to get rid of the dog. And I said, she had a little pit bull, a little shepherd pit bull mix. I said, why? And she said, the dog keeps on attacking him, the pimp. And I was like, oh, that's a good dog. I said, it's like your family. I said, I never got rid of you and you drove me nuts. What are you gonna do? That dog came from an abused home. What's wrong with you? And she was like, yeah. And I remember feeding the dog. I went and got some lunch meat and I gave it to that dog, and I was like, Meekwich, good girl, And she sauntered out of the house, and came back in 5 minutes later, and I was like, oh shit, now she's gonna ask me for money. I said, what, Soleil? And she said, Mom, you forgot to mooch me, a mooch. And I said, I gave her a kiss, said, I love you, poo head. And she was supposed to be home Thursday to take the dogs to get groomed. I have a service dog. She didn't come in, and I was like, oh, it was Caravan, I hear. And I was like, whatever, she's partying. And Friday, we had a knock at the door. And I went outside, and the cop didn't even have the decency to sit me down. And they asked me, first I thought, was it my son? Like, what did that little shithead do? And they said, are you Soleil Perrier's mom? And I said, yeah. And I went, how much is this gonna cost me? And she said, when's the last time you seen her? And I said, Monday. And she said, that's impossible because she's been dead longer than that. He had given her a hot shot of cocaine, and it was fentanyl laced, and left her to die. And she had died. And the only reason why I knew he was there was because her bedroom door was shut. And she wouldn't have ever shut her bedroom door because of her cat and her dog. So he had been there. He also had urinated on her. We don't even know what day she died on. And I could save people's kids, and I didn't save my own. It's been a year. But I strongly believe she was very proud of the work I did, and no one prepared me for it. I had been through this with the losing my first child, but no one prepared us for it, and we were like, this is not normal. And I always say my son, her name was Soleil, so I said the sun stopped shining that day. And I said, in my heart to my child is, I'm gonna make sure that every fentanyl death is very investigated. And that, it's the new gun, right? It's easier to murder them with a lethal dose because you don't think, they just see a junkie. And I remember feeling really scared and getting angry and laying on my front yard. And I just know that I was meant to be on this earth to teach people, and being a knowledge carrier is an honor. And that we have to change this perception, make treatment, I get girls that say, I'm done at 3 a.m. They need to go to treatment, and I can't find a treatment center at 3 a.m. And, I think, we should encourage them to, I don't believe in harm reduction. And, for my own, because I am a recovered addict. And we need to look at all the aspects, and men like him, so basically they're going to get him for leaving her, and then they're going to deport him. I won't even have my justice. I will get my justice because he's going to Jamaica, but still, I could just... My biggest fear is that Canada will forget about all the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, and all those women that died in the sex trade, and that glamorization will come back. And I know I've been assured that the Bill C-36 doesn't infringe on people's rights, and it's ironclad, but the let down to know that certain provinces aren't doing their job protecting our women and girls is despicable. and BC is not following it, and other police organizations. And the problem is, if we didn't have men wanting to buy their ejaculation and using women for that, we wouldn't have this problem. And if we looked at addiction and mental health and gave people, families, the options to make their family members go to treatment, we'd still, 35 days off a certain substance can change people's outlook. If we had beds available right away instead of just pushing a Band-Aid like Suboxone or methadone on them, we would see a lot more, recovery. If we stop putting money into that shit, then, and I'm a taxpayer too. I own my own home, and I don't feel good that I have to pay for that, But for my daughter's legacy, I'm just going to continue doing and fighting. Got a 3-year-old granddaughter, and she's like the apple of my eye. Her name's Riot. She is a riot. The favorite part is just teaching her things. Like the other day I taught her how to make meatballs. She literally can scramble an egg. She's so smart. And just seeing that I created her mom, and this is the flow over from her mom, and she's everything to me, and she's so funny. I'm gonna pick her up after this. She's like, can we go shopping? She's just grandma's broke bestie, and she's a powwow dancer, and if she wasn't around, I probably would have lost my shit, but she's the reason why I'm determined. Like I always say, if it wasn't for her, I don't think I would have been in the place I am.